What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is episode 4 of Meet the Hobby, and we got something really special lined up for you guys today. Great new company coming on board, and it's going to be mind-blowing what they have to share with you. But I got Tom over with OG Grading, completely new grading service that's it's gonna raise the bars in the industry right now. So say what's up, Tom. How you doing?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for the introduction.
And just so you guys know, we got the voice of God in the background too. Jersey's in the background. Say what's up, Jersey.
Yo, what's up, 777 Breaks fan? That's right. We are going to be hanging out with Tom. And man, from the videos I've been seeing, I had to be a part of this video just because, you know, SE1's been telling me all about this, and I got to see it firsthand. I am excited to be here. Man, let's go.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. So Tom, tell me a little bit about OG Grading. Tell us about your company, what you guys are setting out to do, and let's get a little bit more into diving questions of what separates you guys from everybody else. So tell me a little about yourself.
Sure. So lifelong collector, been collecting since the mid '80s, and I felt like there was something missing in grading, and that thing that I felt was missing, I thought was really customer service. You know, there are some companies that I'm sure do a great job grading. There are now some companies with interesting labels, but I felt like they were lacking that whole package, really treating customers right and trying to push the level of service and features just to that next level.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. And this industry has been very weird as of lately, especially with the amount of grades that are going through with people. I mean, I'm not one to throw shade at any other company. It's the population. It just seems like, I hate to say that they're trying to do population control, but it just seems like a lot of inconsistencies. When something goes wrong, you try to get a hold of them, and it's very off. But again, it's the industry. Who expected this explosion of grading to come in? So on that note, in terms of transparency, in terms of what you guys are trying to get out there, in addition to better customer service, what do you guys have going more than what other people are not doing right now?
Sure. And look, and we realize that, you know, we don't have that 10, 20 years of experience, right? So we try to make up for that by having superior transparency. As we can see in the background there's it was live when it was recorded, a live video grading of a card. I think it's Otani. In addition to live video grading, every card includes what we call a card profile. And the card profile, each label has a QR code on the back. You can scan it, goes directly to the card profile. The profile includes high resolution scans of the card, as well as the grader's description of why it got the grade that it got. That's something that always bothered me with grading companies. You know, you send in a card, it looks phenomenal, comes back, it's like an 8, and you're like, why is this an 8? And of course, in the slab, you can't tell. You know, it's very difficult to really see those fine points when a card's slabbed up. But with OG, you'll get the description and you'll know exactly why it got the grade it got. I also think that by having the high resolution scans of every card that's graded, consumers and people in the hobby can really hold us accountable. You know, if someone's putting out a lot of gem mint cards and you don't have those high resolution scans, you basically have to take their word for it. And I know I've seen companies out there, I'm not going to name names because like you said, okay, I don't want to throw shade either. But I've seen some gem mint cards, or allegedly gem mint cards, that I didn't think were gem mint. I've owned some, I've purchased some on eBay, got them home and saw that this is probably an 8, but it's listed as a gem mint. But they can get away with that because they don't have that accountability with those scans. They're not showing everyone what's out there.
And I agree with you. I mean, I think that's a going trend. I mean, do we all expect 10s? Of course. I mean, everybody wants a 10. that doesn't necessarily get one. And I think what you to touch on that note is when you feel like you deserve something higher, and you go to them and asking them why, and the comeback is, well, we don't keep. That's disheartening, you know. Especially, can you imagine paying the $600 express to PSA and it comes back like a 3 or 4, and you're just like, why? They're like, well, just because it is. You know, that's for me. That's a hard pill to swallow. But I get it. I mean, the card profile. So speak a little bit more on the card profiles with like the high resolution scans and all that stuff. Is there like I know before me and you talked briefly, but you talked about card fingerprints. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. So one feature that we have, it's an option, doesn't come with every card, but as an option, we have something called card fingerprinting or card fingerprints. Essentially, we take the high resolution scan, and assuming the card isn't a flawless 10, meaning it's like completely 100% flawless, we couldn't find any issue with it at all, we'll circle the issues with the card. And then for most cards, I'd say, except for ultra modern chrome, most cards have little, nearly imperceptible imperfections. They're little tiny little pixel printing things. We'll circle those as well, so that as a security feature, if someone has a card fingerprint and you buy that card, you can scan, the card profile on the back of the card. It'll show the fingerprint in that card profile, which, by the way, you can have grading videos in the profiles as well. So you can look at that fingerprint and then look at the card that you have and confirm, yes, it's the real card. Now, our slabs are very secure. We design them to exceed industry standards. And I would love for someone to destroy a couple of our slabs compared to some other brands, because I think they will. And I know from internal testing that they're probably multiple times stronger than some of those other slabs. Although, look, BGS is amazing with their strength, right? Yeah. Their slabs are like bricks. So it's not true for all of them, but it's just one additional level of security. So when we were looking at security, I said, what was the flaw with some of these companies? The flaw is, if someone can open their slab, they can take the card out and replace it with a fake card, replace it with a lower grade card, and resubmit that, right? There's no sort of check and balance with that. With us, you have the high resolution scans, which is probably enough for most cards to identify that's the same card. But beyond that, you have the card fingerprinting to really lock it down. So in order for someone to sort of reasonably fake our cards, they would have to get through the extra secure slab, and they basically have to hack our website and replace the images. So it would be a lot more difficult than just merely taking a slab apart.
Oh, wow. So you're saying every card, even if it's flawless or what have you, has sort of a break. And that, I think that's another thing that's also been talked about in it. How do you actually card company? So that's super added security over to. Now, I also know that one of the cool things you mentioned is that there's something revolutionary completely that I've never even heard anybody talk about. But in an instance, every card has a serial number. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what you're doing with that serial number to protect the card, to make sure that card stays with the card forever?
Sure. Well, so one of the things that we do is we create NFTs of the card profile. It unfortunately, legal reasons, we can't include the scans, but we do include the label, at least the front label, as well as the description, the grading profile description. So that way you can be, and it's transferred to the owner of the card for free. It's built in to the grading. And that way you know that description's on the blockchain. If something happened to my website, that description's still gonna be out there.
Wow. So you could, in an event, database gets missing, it's technology, things happen, and it's a moving ball, so sometimes you just have to verify your serial number. You're always going to have basic backup on the blockchain, I'm assuming, open.
Yes, that's correct. And when we use Polygon So it'll be like in your Polygon wallet, but it's on OpenSea.
Oh wow. So I'm just curious. I mean, the non-fungible token, I mean, that's just a completely different world, different conversation. But so in essence, with every grade, you get your actual card, and then you also get pieces. But that's what everyone's talking about when it comes to NFT, basically card. So in essence, you buy something, or you get a slab, you get your card protected, and you're actually getting another form of digital art protected too. And that it goes with it.
Exactly. And that sort of, I think, relates to one of our overarching themes. You know, I mentioned customer service. Our goal is, more than anything, to try to really exceed customers' expectations.
Yeah, I think that's just with the standard live grading, or should I say with the optional live grading. I'm assuming it's not standard. It's a cost that you pay to actually have your card graded. But I think with the amount of costs associated, I mean, just again, I'm not throwing shade at PSA, but knowing that I personally graded cards, the cost to see get it in, and then for it to come back and ask questions, like cost would kind of offset. I paid extra money to get a live grade, me personally. Knowing that I could send in a card, and if I don't agree with it, I would like to know why. And you're telling me I have a backup video now of someone telling me exactly why this card didn't get, why exactly the card wasn't sold properly. I think that in itself value is so revolutionary. So that's pretty awesome. On that note, you mentioned something about your slabs being almost nearly indestructible. So you mentioned is there some type of warranty with your slabs? Like how does that all work?
Sure. So as far as I know, this isn't industry first. We offer a one replacement slab warranty, no questions asked. So literally, you get the slab at home, you decide you want to test the warranty, you scratch it with a knife, scratch it with a key, you send it in, we will reslab that card for free. One time, and people can check the warranty by checking the card profile. So if you look at a card profile, it'll say one slab warranty available. If they use it, then of course we'll delete that line.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, who does that? And the slab warranties it's one of those. I mean, you're a collector yourself, so you've received slabs. I'm sure you probably bought some off eBay, and you get the slabs, and it's all scratched. Does that lifetime warranty transfer with the card?
It does.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And with every card, because look, we don't want everybody to use that warranty. It's a pain for us, right? We give you 2 slab protectors. We give you a clear one, and then we give you sort of a black one, which is a Firebox brand.
Oh, okay.
And that's another thing. It blows my mind that other companies, some companies do give you, maybe one, but at scale, these things cost like a few cents. Like you're paying hundreds of dollars for grading, and they can't throw in a 6-cent slab protector.
Yeah,
no, that's true.
That is definitely that's a hard one to swallow. That definitely is a hard one to swallow. So with your grades, with your slabs, are you guys doing like custom labels? Do you have standard labels? Tell me a little bit about your labels.
Sure. So we do both. So we do have a standard label. It's black. I think it's a pretty nice design, and I think it goes with a lot of cards. With some companies, their standard labels have certain colors that may work really well with some cards, but just don't really flow with other cards. So that's why we went with a standard label that's black. We use sort of holographic material in the labels, but they'll look black from most angles, but it'll have like sort of like a holographic sheen to it at other angles. Additionally, we offer sort of semi-custom labels where you can kind of pick a label from a chart, which actually Pokemon people love it because we have some that look very similar, very, very stylized to look like Pokemon stuff, kind of. But obviously not taking any of their logos or anything like that. And then, of course, we have fully custom labels. We can do custom labels based on the color of the jersey, maybe the color of the card. We recently started doing set custom labels. So we did a couple for some Marvel sets. Marvel cards are very hot right now. And so anyone sending in like a 1990 Marvel card can choose to get a color matched set-based label.
Wow, that's awesome.
The Marvel card right now.
And that's like right on cue. You pull it right on the video. Thanos card gets up. That's pretty funny. So that's actually super cool. So I mean, you have the choice to choose what kind of label you have. Now on these labels, do you do like centering? Do you actually list the centering, the corners? Do you actually give those grades, or is it just an overall grade?
Sure. So we just do an overall grade. We've thought about doing subgrades, but we thought it kind of took away from the label. Now, I've seen some other companies do a great job of integrating the subgrades into the label. I think it also goes to sort of our grading philosophy, right? We grade the card as a whole. It's like what's a 9-corner versus a 10-corner, right? Versus a mint card versus a gem mint card, right? There's a difference there. So on our philosophy, we say that the card has a grade. We don't really grade the individual subparts. We look at them in grading and identify issues to come up with that total grade. It takes into consideration those 4 things. It also takes into consideration the print quality, which is sort of the 5th thing, right?
Yeah.
What if the printing is bad? What if there's a lot of refractor lines or something, print lines, or what if the on some cards the colors aren't printed in line, right? So it happens on older cards especially. So we take off for that as well.
Interesting. So as I'm watching, I'm just watching the whole centering process right now, and I'm just astonished because I personally have never seen anybody grade a card live. So it's actually really, I mean, look at that tool that you're using. That's awesome.
Yeah. They use. Sorry to interrupt you there. They use micrometers and they measure to the 100th of a millimeter, and then he's plugging that into a Google Sheet to calculate the ratio from left to right to top to bottom.
Okay, so on that note, for all those people that are watching this video that know about slabs, that don't really know about slabs, can you define the differences between flawless and mint? What is the difference between?
Sure. So I can't speak to other companies, but based on our standards, so a flawless card is a card that has 50-50 centering, so perfect centering. We don't give you any leeway on that for a flawless card. And that under a 10x magnification, we couldn't find any issues. 4 sharp corners, nice sharp edges, and no issues on the front or back surface at all. If we find a single, tiny little issue, it's not a flawless card. It could still be gem mint potentially, but it's not going to be flawless. For a gem mint card for us is a card that has 4 perfectly sharp corners and has just a few very minor issues that you might see through the magnifying glass on the surface or maybe an edge. And that could be a very faint little dimple. It could be a very faint little scratch that's barely noticeable, only under like certain lighting and different angles and things. A mint card for us is a card that also has perfect corners, but has just a little bit more, not much, a couple more very faint minor issues. And 8, which is a near mint to mint for us card, is a card with at least 3 perfect corners. It might have 4 perfect corners. And basically all the issues are sort of added up. And different types of issues are given different scores, if you will. So it could be a situation where you have just a handful of little minor dimples or little tiny scratches somewhere on the card, maybe the back, maybe little, we call something chatter, which is like little kind of micro divots along an edge, almost as if the machine was like reverberating as it cut it or something.
Yeah, sometimes you get those like frayed edges. I mean, not frayed, but those little dimples where the cut lines are.
Exactly. And all of those could be reasons a card is an 8. Now, an 8 is still a very solid card. I actually, in my personal collection, I probably have more 7s and 8s than I do 10s, but by choice. Like I'll because I would say a well-graded 8 is still a very solid card. Still a very solid card, and from a price perspective, it's, I would say, a higher value card. Not that it's more valuable, but that you're getting into this card that otherwise might be 10 times more expensive if it were a 10.
Got you. Yeah, I understand. I'm watching this, and so I know there was a situation. I'm not going to mention any company, but there was an instance within the last couple. Card that was not a grade, but it winds up coming to find out that card was actually 100. As a grader, how do you actually protect yourself from knowing that's the actual card someone counterfeit?
Sure.
Come across a situation like that?
Well, I would say we come across it every day in the sense that we're checking every card, right? And I think each card is a little bit different, right? With Pokemon cards, and I'm certainly not qualified to speak to how one checks Pokemon cards for counterfeits, but they are, I guess, widely counterfeited. And we have sort of our Pokemon expert who focuses on authenticating Pokemon cards. I know he's told me that some of it has to do with the glue and sort of the colors on the edges and things. With other cards, we're looking for different things. Sometimes it's a matter of how the card is printed. I've seen fake Jordan rookies where if you look under magnification, it's sort of how the pixels are printed. That's one telltale sign. I'm sure that there's plenty of others, but basically we just sort of do our best to stay apprised of the different techniques that are out there. Additionally, in terms of doctored cards, every card is measured with, we call it a go, no-go gauge. So we have minimum standards for length and width. And from time to time, there are real cards that get rejected because you do get that variance. But we think we've struck a reasonable balance in terms of the sizing. We also look for evidence of sanding. That's like a common, I don't know if it's common, but it's fairly easy to tell if you know what to look for. For example, if you look at an edge that is sort of, I don't want to say too smooth, but that has sort of no, what we call striations on the edge, that may be an indication that it was sanded. Or if one edge or a portion of an edge is sort of a different color from the other edges, that's another indication that it may have been doctored.
Wow. I mean, that it's kind of crazy and really sad that it comes to that, but that's actually awesome that you guys don't just take the word of the submission and get them agreed. Again, are we all human? Absolutely. Can happen, but it's good to know that just by your that you guys do take the extra step to make sure before you even get into that part. Because we're just in that weird world that we're in right now, just different times, and especially with Pokemon is infamous for having, just like how you touched on the Jordan rookies. I come across so many horror stories last year about Jordan. It's gotten to a point where chances are, if you buy a Jordan rookie now, it's likely more of a reprint than an accident, or just the print runs and all. But on this note, I know you talked to something, and I wanted to get this out there before we actually get into a video of a live grade. Now, you mentioned to me the other day about a new product that you, for slabs. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So initially I wasn't gonna mention that this evening, but we're probably 3 days away from launching it. So this will be, I guess, the first announcement, and your audience will be the first to hear about it. And I believe that it's the only product like this out there, and we're very excited about it. We're actually it will be sold initially through our sister company, but it'll be sold on OG as well, and it'll be an option through OG. So everyone has a cell phone, right? And if you don't want your screen on your cell phone to get scratched or cracked, what do? Right? You buy like a screen protector.
Yeah, temporary
right?
glass.
Yeah, exactly. So based on what we were talking about earlier, that if you buy a slab, or if you have a slab that's a few years old, they often get scratched. Well, we've developed a tempered glass slab protector, and it'll fit PSA slabs, our slabs, and I think probably about a half dozen other company slabs, and we may expand it into HGA, BGS, CSG, etc. over time.
Wow. So sorry to put you on the spot, and thank you for sharing that information with the group. And when you told me about that, my mouth was just up to the. I mean, like I said, I mean, I could show you a handful of my slabs that I've purchased or had over time, and it's just scratch and ding, all that stuff. So had something like this, been available, I mean, that's just awesome to be able to preserve the slab, because it kind of sucks. They're in slabs for a reason. You want to be able to stare at it and in different lighting. That is definitely awesome. So with that technology, or with that product that's being released, I'm assuming they're going to be sold in like packs. Is that how it's going to work?
Sure. So I think we're probably going to do it's still up for, we're discussing it internally. We're probably going to do like 2 packs. So this way, it'll cover both the front and the back.
Okay.
And really a lot of it goes to, what the consumers are interested in. If people want 10 packs or something, we could do that. I guess I have to see, test it out, do some sort of we like to do sort of A/B testing or beta testing of different things, just to see what people like. Because at the end of the day, I have my own opinions, but what sort of matters to us is the opinions of consumers, right?
Yeah. In any business, any functioning business, you got to take in account of it. You can have the greatest product out there, but if no one wants it, the greatest product becomes more of an competitor. So that's actually, I mean, what do you think, Jersey? I think having tempered glasses for slabs, and not just your slabs, I think that's the biggest key, is that not just for your slabs, but any slab or PSA slabs, or it can't fit onto other slabs. I think that's monumental. That's huge. Because it shows a lot of character in terms that you're not just looking out for yourself, you're looking obvious. That speaks. What do you think, Jers?
No, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about opening up a market where you're starting to protect other people's goods. You know what I mean? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it just shows that you're looking out for the well-being of the entire hobby, not just your own product. So I mean, dude, that's everything that I've learned so far, and I've been a little bit quiet because I'm mind blown, man. I am mind blown so far. Everything that you've said that you guys do is exactly what's wrong with some of the other grading companies right now. And just by watching the video and learning more and more, Tom, I mean, you're definitely onto something, my friend.
Well, let me blow your mind with one more thing. So, you're getting your cards graded. Potentially, you may be sending in cards worth thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars. I know, I sent in one order. I think I insured it for like $12,000 or something. And I remember thinking like, okay, it's nice that it's insured, but what if it gets lost? You know, you see all those videos on TV of people, you know, stealing stuff from trains, or just mishandling packages, or getting my neighbor's mail or whatever. So I thought that there's got to be a better way to track this stuff, right? I mean, it's 2022. Like, are we still relying on just normal tracking for items that could be worth thousands of dollars?
Yeah,
So,
right.
as an upsell, we offer real-time GPS tracking. We put a tracking
In the
device. Yeah, swear to God. In the box, it comes with a prepaid label to send it back to us. So it's $50, but you get a $30 refund if we get the tracker back.
Oh, so it's literally $20, and you can GPS where your package is, and it'll help you sleep at night, especially if you have a $10,000 card coming back to your mailbox.
Exactly.
Insane.
That is insane. Well, let me touch on that story a little bit. I don't know if you guys ever followed last year. I think it was like a LeBron rookie. Not exactly what type of LeBron card it was, but it was sent into PSA. PSA sent it back. It graded it, and that package went missing. The owners of the card tried to file claims with the postal services. I think it was actually with UPS. Anyways, to make a long story short, thankfully for the serial number that PSA was able to locate, it took them 2 years, and that card finally popped up, and whoever saw the serial number of that card and knew the story actually reached out to the owner and was able to get the card back to the owner. But in that 2 years time, it exchanged like some 16 hands. As they started tracking it down, the movement of that card, sold through various different online sites. So what you're telling me, I mean, we all purchase stuff from Target, and sometimes we open that stuff and the packages are open. And so knowing that you actually have a tracking device inside the package attached to the card, I mean, that's monumental. I mean, that is safety at its highest. I don't even know what other words I could put it in. That is totally awesome, man. And that is an added upsell service, right?
Yes, yeah. It's like I said, it's $50, and then you get a $30 refund if you get the tracker back.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I'm excited for you guys to take off, because all this stuff is mind blowing. Definitely mind blowing, and I'm looking at the time now. I'm ready to get into a live break if you're ready to get.
Live grade.
Or live break. I'm thinking break, a live grade. We're breakers. We're breakers. We open cards. But yeah, I'm definitely ready to get into some live showing. I mean, I wanted to try to keep the video short, but I'm just soaking in all this information, and just knowing what we know about the industry and its current state, I'm just taken back. This is something I think the injection of the hobby needs, or this is the injection the hobby needs. Just because it's just pushing the envelope. It's not keeping us stuck in the same. And I think that's one of the things you and I spoke about before, is being able to just think creatively how to pushing the envelope. You know, like I think we talked about HG, how they came out with the the horizontal tabs. So those were actually some people hate them, but it's the fact that they thought of something different, and everything that you've been telling me is so different than what we've been seeing. I just
Yeah, and
Thank
Tom, we like to, I mean, from everything that you've told us, I mean, I think the reason why, 777 breaks and OG grading, it's like, we're trying to bring, more honesty, more convenience, and more efficiency into the sports card world. Everything that you've showed us, how you guys are different from, some of the other grading companies out there. It's remarkable. But I'm going to ask you the hard question, Tom, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but as in depth and as I'm watching the videos of the grading service, like what are you gonna do when you start getting submissions? And you know, some of the other newer grading companies out there, a lot of them have failed recently in the past couple of months because they just couldn't keep up with production. Like, how are you guys gonna try to overcome that obstacle? Because I mean, from what I've seen, I'm gonna send all my cards to you, you know, and when your name gets out there, I'm pretty sure your inbox is gonna get flooded.
Well, thank you. I mean, sure, there'd be definitely a good problem to have. We have people lined up who have been trained as graders over the last 4 to 6 months that we can probably expand capacity 100%, give or take.
I love it.
But I think, you know, it will be. We'll certainly have to manage consumer expectations, right? I think the best way to do it is sort of restrict the amount of cards coming in. The last thing I want to do is I don't want to have a huge backlog of cards at the office just waiting to be graded, because you know, people are going to get upset. Why is it taking so long? I've been there. I've had my cards at PSA when they got backed up. So I think it's better to restrict things up front and then try to grow sort of slowly and organically. I do.
Yeah.
You know, Essie and I talked about this the other day. When some of these companies get really busy, they expand super quick, and that's great and that's awesome for them. But if there's any downturn in the market, I think that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, when, you know, some of the newer grading companies, you know, when they first opened up for submissions, you know, they had a window. You know, and it became harder to meet these windows because they, you know, you get on their mailing list and they're like, okay, we're going to open up 10,000 cards, we're going to accept. So, you know, get your submissions in as soon as possible, because after 10,000, we're going to cut it off. And in the beginning, I was like, man, that's the responsible way to do it. So at least you're being honest to your customers, saying, hey, we're going to do 10,000, shut down submissions, and then get these 10,000 out, and then we'll accept more. But as time went on, you know, I've noticed that these grading companies, these windows disappeared. Oh, submit as many as you want. You know, there's these windows. We don't have windows anymore. And I'm like, how are you going to keep up with the influx of cards if all of a sudden, you know, the exclusivity, or like how exclusive you are to get graded, now that kind of goes out the window. You know what I mean? So I'm glad you guys are doing it right from the very beginning, man. I truly believe that.
Yeah, that is actually really good music to my ear. And it's a good thing to have. You know, I'm all about growth. I'm all about, you know, but if you just open the doors and you don't even know how big to hug and how much you're actually, that is definitely a recipe. I mean, we've seen how many grading companies start off, especially in the last year. And a big portion of them, even the long-time grading companies, been just overloaded. And just like what you said, Tom, I had a card at PSA sitting there for, you know, 4 or 5 months. I had cards at other grading companies. So I get it, and I think it's actually very, very respectable, and very honest of you to be able to be truthful and be like, yeah, you know, you provide a service is your job, you got a good service, and do your own stuff. I think that's a big thing that, you know, any company needs out there more of that. It's not just about being it's about being quality. So that I totally respect.
Yeah, you know, to your point, you know, we believe it's better to have 1,000 happy customers than 10,000 unhappy customers.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree.
Absolutely.
1,000% agree. Look at that Crusade. Is that Tyler Hero? That is a Tyler Hero. Is that a Phoenix card? Crusade. That was a Phoenix brand. What Phoenix product? Right?
I think that was a Chronicles, I believe. Chronicles, Crusade, Tyler Hero rookie. That's a nice card.
That's a nice card. So I mean, I'm ready to. If you guys are ready to watch a live grade,
I'm ready. live
Absolutely.
grade.
Are we ready, Tom?
Yeah, I believe he's live right now.
Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and switch the scene. Give me 1 second here. All right, we're back. And let's talk about the centering, Tom. Let's kind of walk me through this process. Take me into the eyes of the...
Sure. So there's two things we look at when we're centering a card, or at least initially. We determine whether there's borders that are centerable, right? Because some cards are borderless or have borders that are completely irregular, from left to right or top to bottom. If we determine that it has borders, like this Tyler Hero card, now these borders are interesting because they're not like square, right? They're not like squarely parallel. You have a slanted area. So our philosophy is we don't want to measure on the slanted part because it could be difficult to find that same spot on the other side, right? Unless there's something that intersects. So in this case, I believe he just centered on sort of the lowest point of the marquee, which kind of comes to like a singular point. We try to center on things that, if the borders aren't square, on spots that have multiple lines coming together, so it becomes like a point.
Okay.
If the cards have no borders, then we use what we call an eye appeal standard, which is to say we look at the card, it is a bit subjective. We determine whether there's some aspect of the centering that detracts from the eye appeal. A good example of this, a card I always like to use because it's been graded by everyone and there's tons of them on eBay, a 2018 Topps Chrome Shohei Ohtani. So for us, if the bat touches the top border of the card, we'll detract for that. And I don't have the grading manual. I'm not trained as a grader, but I believe if it were to fail the eye appeal grading standard, I think it goes down to an 8 right away, because that indicates that it has fairly poor centering, like significantly worse than like a 60-40. And if you were to go on eBay,
Yeah, so
Sure,
Tom, just real quick. So if it doesn't pass something in the very beginning stages, we already know that it's not going to be a flawless or even a 9. You said the best they're going to get is an 8.
well, so it depends. So to get a Gem Mint 10, the centering needs to either pass the eye appeal standard or to be better than 55-45. And then the grader says like this card is eligible to be a Gem Mint 10. If the centering is a little bit worse than that, but better than, I believe it's 62-38, then it's eligible to be a 9. Then there's proportions that make it eligible to be an 8, and it goes down from there.
I got you. So you kind of have that first checklist, right? That once that first checklist, it kind of puts it into a category already, just from the first part of the grading, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Awesome.
So what we're watching right now he's inspecting the corners.
It looks like he's either inspecting the corners or perhaps the edges.
Okay.
Typically, he's probably following the procedure. We may have been talking over it while he was doing it, but usually directly from the centering, they go to the corners. We do it sort of in this order because our philosophy is overarching. We try to say we're trying to identify the eye appeal of the card, and we think that corners and centering are sort of the most evident things. You pick up a card, if the corners are bad, you see it right away. Same thing if the centering's bad, right? It's just immediately obvious. So we try to focus on that initially, and then we go to the surface, then we go to the edges, and then of course we look at the back surface as well.
Got you.
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
When he goes over the surface, he does it 2 times. And you'll notice he'll move his thumb out of the way. He does it once with the light on, and then once with the light off. We've found that in very rare cases, there can be certain types of scratches, very, very fine scratches that can only be seen in perhaps with the light off or perhaps with the light on. Until you see it happen, it's almost hard to believe, because you'll be analyzing it one way and it looks clean, and then you change the lighting and then there's an issue. So it's important for him to do it twice. He of course will move his thumb and check where his thumb was. Another thing you'll notice, or you may notice, he's always very deliberate, and this is, all the graders are trained this way. They're very deliberate about how they hold the cards. And they all wear nitrile gloves, which in internal testing, I actually did this testing myself. I tried to damage cards with nitrile gloves. I used, junk cards, right? I was not able to damage a card with the gloves as long as I touched the surface, as opposed to the edges or the corners. So you'll notice they always touch the surface and they always keep the corners away from them. And they handle it kind of in a funny way, but there's a method to that madness.
So you're saying, you're saying holding the card from the corners or from the surface better than holding it. Is that what you're saying?
At least if you're wearing those gloves, yeah.
Got you. So we just saw him do the thing without the light. Is exactly as you describe what he would do. So it seems like to become a grader and all that stuff, you have standard procedures and standard practices that people should be working in properly.
Yes, we actually have, it's like a 50 or 60 page training manual. And I don't know what every grading company does, but I believe we have one of, if perhaps, the most extensive initial training. People are trained for months, and they're even trained on the way that they hold the cards. All of the little details, like the way they put the magnifying glass down, the way they move it away from the card, is all to sort of reduce the possibility that they're going to damage a card. I think the worst thing we could possibly do is damage a card. And anyone that's sent in enough cards to grading companies know that it happens, right? It happens. So we want to do everything we can to minimize those chances.
So based off the previous, what you were telling us with the high resolution scans, does the high res scans come after the grade, or does the scans come before?
So they come after the grade, although I should note that every card, when we do our what's called an intake, when we open the packaging and everything like that, it's done on video. And it's done on video to confirm that the card made it to us safely. If there was any issue, if the package was crushed or there was some identifying mark on the card that we thought like they probably didn't send it in this condition because it's rough, we would contact the customer and let them know and show them the video to show them that we opened it, and opened it carefully and that it came in that condition.
So every package you receive is opened on video, as
yeah.
For insurance purposes?
Exactly, yes.
Wow.
I mean, right away. I mean, you don't know how many forums I've been on and forums and groups, and that's the one thing, people complain about is, so I guess when they received my card, I got a 7, but I swear it didn't look like that when I sent it. You know what I mean? And man, I mean, just you're going through my checklist, Tom, and you're checking off all the boxes, bro. I mean, man, thank you from a card collecting point of view.
Wow, that is awesome, because it and that's the thing that you were talking about with the whole extra package of all that stuff. I mean, just cutting a camera on very, very nominal amount of time. You flip a switch and you start recording, and you're opening the package as it is. So it just to protect yourself, and it seems like what your guys' gear towards is complete transparency. I think that's what's actually really missing in the hobby is complete transparency. I heard horror stories about what you mentioned about customers sending in cards. I actually personally have met a grader, a previous grader, who worked for a company damaged cards, so try to task him to purchase the same exact card on eBay as it was. And I mean, that's just not right. You know, if you do ruin a card or what have you, you know, it's good to know that everything's caught on video and there's no questions. You guys caused the damage.
Exactly, and I also think it's, if a card is damaged, it's important that you do the right thing and compensate the customer.
Yeah, I agree. So as we're just sitting here, I'm assuming he's about to pick up another card. Tell me about your logo. How did you guys come up with the logo? Oh, that's my Wander.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. There's my Wander Franco.
So I think, you know, we came up with the name OG, and we thought it's you know, it's kind of a cool, ubiquitous thing that means a lot, you know, a few different things, right? And we've been collecting a while, you know, since the 80s, and I know I think I told you this on the phone. One of the reasons we have a lot of training for the graders is we take the approach that they're sort of artisan graders, and it's kind of silly, but we want them to be good at their craft and take pride in their work and really try to focus on getting better every day to the extent that that's possible, right? And so that's sort of why we went with OG. And then the logo, we actually, the grader on video, he came up with the logo. We came up with different logos, and that one, I just thought it was pretty cool. Kind of like an infinity sign mixed with the OG.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. And so it's interesting. This particular card is interesting because this is my, for you guys that are watching, this is my personal card we set in. We wanted to give you guys the full consumer experience. So I actually, when he was called up, I was a big fan of like Project 70 cards and Top Snap cards. And so when he was called up, I went straight to Top and I purchased a 5-pack of these cards. And you know, I'm curious to see that I've never, outside of me receiving these and putting these in any sort of top loader review, they've never felt, you know, the fresh air. so as me watching this is actually going to be pretty cool. And I'm assuming during the live stream and all that stuff, those that are watching, I have it muted, but he is walking you through the whole process. He is talking about everything on the card that he's talking about. Am I correct on that, Tom?
That's correct. He's supposed to basically talk about what he sees. If he sees any issues, he should be talking about that. He's also supposed to, if he sees like a really good corner, like this is a really nice sharp corner, typically they talk about it.
Okay. So I'm just curious, like in our craft, when we break cards, we open cards, and when we pull a really big hit, we get super excited. Is it the same for graders? I've always wondered this. Is it the same for graders when they see a card that's just completely flawless that they get really giddy over?
So, I mean, I should ask him. I don't know. I've seen him get excited on some of the streams. You know, if it's a player or character or something that he's really into, you know, he likes the Yankees. There must be something with the corner. He's kind of zooming in on it. Sometimes I try to encourage him to be more animated. But as far as flawless cards, I think our flawless rate, right, flawless 10 rate is probably 0.5%, 0.25%.
Oh, wow.
It's very difficult to find a flawless card, like truly flawless.
So it's almost like the what other grading companies, they call it like a pristine or a diamond or something like that. So your flawless are really like unicorn type cards, but they're out there. It's just, I'm kind of glad that you guys don't give them out, because like you said, they're supposed to be unicorn cards, you know?
Yeah, and I think for me, as like I said, the full consumer experience is that when you send in a card to get graded, all I want in return is just honest. Cards messed up. Tell me it's messed up. Don't tell me it's a 10 because I paid you $5.
Sure.
I think that's where I have issues with a lot of grades right now. It's hard to actually call a real gem in spending. I've cracked slabs from one company, then into another, completely different grade than what was given to them. So on that note, do you guys do subgrading or cross grading? Like if I were to send you a slab from an, would you guys be willing to crack it and go over your own process to see what you could agree?
Absolutely. And I believe the day or two after you checked out on the website, our site was updated, and the checkout system now does have crossover, and it has a spot for like minimum grade.
Awesome. So just on that for a consumer process, so if for the people that are watching, when that happens, you want them to send the full slab in, and you.
Yeah, we're happy to do it. We're experienced at doing it. Before we launched in the initial phases of the company, we intentionally destroyed a lot of slabs from a lot of different companies just to try to look at like what are the strengths and weaknesses, what's a good slab, how strong should our slab be, and how can we fix those weaknesses that some of the other companies had.
Awesome.
So we understand how to crack them correctly without damaging the card.
That sounds like we have this thing when we do breaks at the very beginning, because I mean I'm assuming you've watched other breaks before, and we never try to say that we're better or we always want to tell everyone we're just, and it sounds exactly what us at 77 we got into this because the collectors ourselves, and we just wanted to look and feel a little bit more engaging, look a little bit different. So we watched a lot of different breaks before prior to you. So came up with this idea with the graphics and all that stuff, and just our personalities. We're all longtime friends since children, so that also helps. Chemistry is really hard to find these days, and when you just have it, you just have it. And that's what the four of us that created 777. That's one of the things that we kind of got going. We just like being different, engaging, and fun. So everything. I'm just so mind blown. What about you, Jersey? I'm just so taken back right now.
No, it almost feels like Tom is Santa, and he's been reading my. I mean, honestly, like Sean said, I've been collecting since I was riding my bike to the local card shop to buy a couple packs with my allowance. You know what I mean? And now that I'm in a lot older than that. Just to know that there are companies out there that honesty is the best policy. I truly believe if you do business honestly and with full integrity, and you have your customers' best interest at heart when you're doing your job, it's only a matter of time before people start to really latch on to those companies that are transparent, that are honest. And man, it seems like you guys are doing everything that. It seems like all the grading companies out there, if they were to have like a love child, it would be like OG grading. You know what I mean? I think the one thing I enjoy the most is I'm not sure about the packages, but having video and having someone explain to me why your card received a certain grade. That to me is personalization. I'm not just another submitter looking to get a serial number and a grade. You know what I mean? It just shows that you really touched my card, you graded my card, and you're telling me why I'm not going to get 4,000% on my base card. You know what I mean? And that's huge, because at our local card shop, I've been in the shop when they receive their grades, right? And you'd be surprised on some of the things they say. When they don't get that gem in 10, the first thing they ask is why. Why did I get that grade? And there's no explanation. It is what it is, but I'm glad you guys take the extra step to explain why. I think that's what's going to separate you guys from everyone else.
Yeah, I'm super stoked on this, definitely. I mean, you guys are, whoa, that was the end of the video there. So it looks like I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna go ahead and just restart the video there. But I mean, tell everybody how do we submit grades? We go to your website. I'm assuming it's oggrading.com.
It is, yeah, oggrading.com. We have a nice checkout system. You put in all your information. You select your cards. You select your level of service, any options you want. And you check out. Actually, I mean, you used it, right?
Yes. Very simple to do.
And then you send them in. There's instructions on how to send them. There's a video showing how to package them. We accept cards in both top loaders and semi-rigid cases. Okay. If you're shipping it top loader, you should, as you did, put some tape over the top of it really tight so it doesn't fly out, and you should be good.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, I went through from start to finish, guys. It's very, very simple to do. I'm gonna link everything about the company, how to do it. They have really cool stuff too on the website that actually explains the mints and the grades. They have a specific section of the site just that, which is very, very great. And it's just, I'm looking forward to seeing more of your slabs in the open market, man. I mean, because this is revolutionary. This is just mind-blowing. I think this is a great thing, and I just think, not only because I've talked to you personally, is, good things happen to good things and to good people, and as long as you keep trying to go at it positive the way you guys have been going at it, good things are gonna.
Well, thank you. I appreciate all the kind words.
Yeah, no, and thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I know, hopefully, just like 7-7 Breaks is for us, I mean, it is kind of not our main money maker, you know what I mean? But hopefully we do the right things, and eventually it can be, you know what I mean? It could be our own career path. But Tom, thanks for spending the time and explaining. And I'm sure, SE1, I think we do like a 102 and a 103 video series, because it seems like we're just barely breaking the surface on what OG has to offer. And in a nutshell, I mean, I've learned more in the past 45 minutes that I have in 42 years on this earth, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm happy to come back. It was a pleasure speaking to you guys. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the pleasure's really been ours, Tom. It really has been ours. But no, I definitely don't think we even captured the rest of the value. So maybe we will do a part 2 in the near future. But I'm gonna wrap this thing up. I really thought we were gonna knock this out in under 30 minutes, but there's no way. There's no way for us to be able to have done that. But I appreciate everything, all your time, all the that you've given to us, Tom. And I look forward to getting these slabs back. But for you guys that are watching, all Tom's information, OG Grading, is going to be in the description below. If you haven't already, please go check them out. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and check out our breaks, breaking on Friday and Saturday. I'm SE1. We have the voice of God, which is Jersey.
That's right. Peace out, people.
And voice of God number 2, Tom. Again, thank you very much. You got any parting words?
No, thank you, and it was a pleasure being on here.
I appreciate you guys. Catch you at the next episode.
Okay. Have a good one.